Good evening and welcome to the Cockpit Control Center. This evening, we're going to talk a little bit about the functionality in the Cockpit Control Center, as well as some ways that you can use it within trading strategies. The goal of this session is to give you a high-level overview of the platform and also how that you can take the platform and put it in action. Later, we'll be recording additional sessions where we do deep dives into the features and functionality within the platform so we can really get down into the technicals and details. So keep an eye out for those videos coming in the future. But before we do that, there is one important disclaimer I want to make sure to communicate is that Stonk Emporium and the Cockpit Control Center is not financial advice. It is meant for educational purposes only. Nobody within Stonk Emporium is licensed to give financial advice, nor are these systems meant to replace your standard due diligence. Trading is risky, so you are responsible for your trades. However, we are trying to put together tools and resources that'll make you more effective in your workflow and more efficient, as well as take better trades. So, with that disclaimer, we'll go ahead and get started. So, first, we're going to cover kind of what's included on the homepage within the Cockpit Control Center. Directly on the right-hand side, you're going to see, what mode you're in. We're in VIP mode, where I'll be showing you this evening our VIP functions. And we're currently in overnight trading, and you can see that this evening it's July 19th at about 9:36 p.m. As we scroll a little bit further below, I want to make sure that I point out about our Discord. We do have a free Discord that's active with conversations. Both the Stock Emporium folks are in there as well as traders, both from novice to extremely experienced. And we're always having great conversation about stocks that are moving and potential stock movements. Just below that is information on our trade terminal. We'll look at that a little bit later in the session, but the trade terminal is designed for a desktop view and is designed to be a command center for a day trader where they have all of the information they need in one place without having to leave to go to any other screens, tabs, or platforms. Just below that is our system receipt section. Highly believe in transparency, so like to provide you with some of the best picks the system has had from an alerts perspective. This covers our alerts, our scanners, as well as our trade ideas. The first column is going to be the top 5 trade day receipts. And given that we're in overnight trading right now, there are no hits, and we're also on the tail end of a weekend. In the second column, you'll see the top 5 all-time alerts. And then in the third column are going to be the top 5 trade ideas. And I'll show you a little bit later how you can access those trade ideas so that you can get some input into possible trades that you could make. Just below that is an announcement about 2 new scanners that we released, the Momentum Probability and Confluence Index. These 2 scanners are all about predicting what stocks might potentially run. We have built a deep platform and database of historical markers on stocks, and we're able to utilize those metrics to match up and give some probability metrics around how a stock may perform in the future. Just below that are the market movers. These are going to be your top hits. It's going to automatically load based on the time frame that we're currently sitting in. Since we're in after hours, you can see the hits that we have here and also with their percentage gains. Just below that is our strategy bar. That is back testing. Free members get 5 back tests per day. VIP members get 250 back tests per day. So if you want to go back, take a look at a trade you made and look at back testing on it, you can absolutely do that. Just below that is the community ticker intelligence. I really like this because I find it's quite interesting. The first column is going to be the top 5 most watched stocks. So across all of the users, the stocks that are that have been added to the watch list the most are represented here. And then on the right-hand side are the top 5 most searched stocks. So you can see what other tickers people are looking at. So really good information there to see what other people are watching. Just below that is a live opportunity grid. This is a feature that is exclusive to VIPs. And what it's going to do is give you the top three results across our five primary scanners, including the daily launch scanner, the momentum scanner, short squeeze scanner, the orb scanner, and the new height scanner. And we'll talk a little bit more about each of those scanners as we get a little bit further. Just below that, you have your watch list so that you can see whatever stocks you've added to your watch list. And then finally, at the bottom, you're going to have news ignition. These are recent news articles that are market impacting. You can see BIYA has been on a lot of the watch lists that were above, and you can see it has fresh catalysts that are market moving that are included in here. In addition to that, on the right-hand side, you've got Biotech Intelligence Preview. This is giving you kind of a heads up of some biotech stocks that have very close upcoming catalysts that could also be market moving. So that is the homepage within the Cockpit Control Center. Now we're going to talk a little bit about some of the features and functionality. One thing to note is we do have Squawk built into the Cockpit Control Center. So you are able to enable Squawk if you are a VIP member. And what that will do is that anytime an A plus alert is signaled, the website will mention that out to you. We also have notifications, push notifications that you can set up as well. And we'll talk a little bit about that later on in the presentation. Directly on top, you have a search bar, so you can enter in a ticker if you want to do a specific ticker search, and it'll take you to the stock detail page. So we're going to start with the main menu. We're going to start with stocks. In the stocks main menu item, you've got two options here. You've got stock research and you've got trade ideas. We're going to go into stock research first, and what it's going to pull up for you is it's going to show you the top 8 stocks relative to our top gainers list and give you some key information about how that stock is performing so that you can quickly kind of see top gainers. In addition to that, you can also enter any ticker you'd like to search and go to the stock detail page. We're going to go ahead and pick S dot here and pull up the chart information for S dot. You can see S dot at the close of market on Friday was trading around $24 and was down about 14.5%. A couple things to point out. You have a toolbar anytime you're looking at a stock. You can go and look and see if there are any alerts that have triggered for that stock. You can pull up any news, SEC filings. We're going to talk a little bit about Reddit and social in just a moment. You can see insider transactions, institutions, the current analyst ratings, as well as fundamentals and financials. You have the ability to pull earnings. So if you wanted to see when the next upcoming earnings are for that stock, you can do that as well. You'll also notice that we do have a column that says expected move. So if there is an algorithmic expected move percentage, we do include that. For S dot, there doesn't happen to be one. And then we have borrow pressure. So great opportunity to check and see whether there's any borrow or short pressure that might cause a squeeze on this stock. And in the case of S dot, you can see the borrow fee is 836%. And then that there's 10 shares available, and it has a borrow score of 100 out of 100. So very high likelihood that this could continue to squeeze back up. And then you can see the shares available. And you can see a dramatic drop over the course of July 16th to July 17th. So that would absolutely be something that I'd keep my eye on. Under short pressure, you can also see the short score. So you can see the short interest, the free float, how many days are left to covered, and the pressure score that we append to that. So really good tools to hone in when you're looking at a ticker to determine whether there's the potential that it might squeeze out. You also have the ability to drill down into the options flow. And in this case, there really isn't any current options flow activity happening since we're not in market hours. But if we were in market hours, you would start to see that information flow in here as well. Now, before we move further into the stock ticker profile page, I do want to point out the Reddit and social tools. So this is something that's very unique to the Cockpit Control Center that most other platforms do not have access to or the level of detail. So what we do is we assign a social setup score, and we give you some information around, how it's doing from a social media perspective. You can see S dot's attention has been fading. You can see, whether it's expanding versus history, the breadth from communities and contributors, the market confirmation, any positioning, and also catalyst integrity. You're going to see some charts that we scale, both the buzz along with the price, as well as some fusion profile. So this is looking at specific, areas of expansion breadth and giving you a nice clear view of how widely penetrated this is. And then you have some context down here in the fusion matrix. So you can see some technical details, how it's performing on Reddit, X, and FinTwit, as well as options flow and short and borrow pressure. So it's a great way to kind of get some basic information there. And as you drill down deeper, you can go into specifically Reddit, X, and FinTwit. You can see, the sentiment, whether it's bullish, neutral, or bearish. You can see the history. But what's really cool about this is you can see what communities are talking about this particular stock. You can see them by list. You can see what users are talking about it the most. And then you can actually see the posts that are being posted. So it's a really cool tool to get some unique aspect and do some Reddit research without having to dig through Reddit and do a bunch of searches. So I always like to point that out. And then there's additional features and functionality in here too, that we'll go into deeper when we do some deep dives on feature functionality. Now, going down, every ticker that you pull up, you're going to have your chart. You have the ability to go by the 1 minute chart, 5 minute, 15, or 30. And you'll notice that we include all of the support and resistance levels. And you also have your volume levels down at the bottom. So everything that you need from a trade chart perspective is included here for you. Makes it really easy to determine where you're going to go in and out of a stock. In addition to that, we have all of the key technicals. You can see the price, VWAP, the RSI, the relative volume, how it's trending, what the day range is. And then again, you're going to get the support and resistance numbers. And you're going to get a watch list composer that's going to help you determine whether this is something you may or may not want to trade. And we also have micro bars that we feed into the system. When the market is active, you'll see micro bars load right here in a ribbon. And that gives confirmation about whether the enter or exit. You also can access our trained AI analysis, which will give you direct information about the setup. And finally, you have an advanced trade plan here, which will tell you exactly, that we're looking at a breakout trigger, where the entry zone is, what a possible stop loss is, and then the take profit zones where you can look to cash out on a positive trade. So that's some of the features and functionality of the stock detail page. In addition to that, you have access to trade ideas. We provide trade ideas both for free users and VIP users. So you'll see those populate here. For VIP members, you're going to get a full entry plan on, when to enter, take profit levels, stop loss, everything you need to actually make that trade is included there. You have full coverage of news. And so what we do in the Stonk Emporium and the CCC is we don't just present to you every news article that's pushed out. There are hundreds every single day. We parse through the news to only present to you things that have, impact on the market or there's some level of sentiment that's behind it. You can see that right now it's feeding in 77 news headlines. There are four that we consider actionable, and there's one that hits the highest tier of our news score, which is 80 or above. That happens to be TXNM, about a merger. And you can see average score as well as the feed health. As you scroll down, you'll see all of the articles. You're going to notice the grades that we assign to it, whether it's neutral, bullish, or bearish. You're going to get the article information. We're going to give you little buttons that tell you, whether it's just market context or what it's covering. For example, here, products and contracts, and then flags if it's major news. And then you can also go in and have our AI provide you a full analysis of that article, as well as how it may impact trade conditions for that individual stock. You also have access to SEC filings. So every time there's a SEC filing, we're going to score it, grade it, bring it to you. You can filter by what type of filing. And there's also AI analysis as well as links to the source information here. So great coverage of both news and SEC filings. Now is where we really get fun, to help you with trading strategies. Going into alerts and the alert dashboard, and what this is going to present to you. Again, we're in overnight, so there's really no alerts that are firing right now. But what you would see here are the top 10 most alerted stocks. So stack ranked list. And those are going to be ones that are probably having heavy trade movements. And then just below that, you're going to see the most 10 recent grade A and A plus hits. So those are our highest level of hits, the ones that are most likely to be actionable. And then we'll give you all of the alert details, to give you insight on, when did it first hit? What was the price then? How much has it gained since then? What's the move percentage? What's the score we've given it? What's the volume? And then, really importantly, is the why. Why did it get alerted into the system? So, this is a really good launch point, to find stocks that are moving and out there. Again, if you are using our Squawk or our push notifications, any of those A and A plus, or most of those A and A plus stocks that pass our gating are going to be communicated to you. Now we're really getting into the heart of the trading strategy area, which are our scanners and screeners. So scanners really represent what's moving right now, and screeners are the ability to customize and filter to try and find the stocks that will be moving in the future. So I'm going to expand scanners. Let's talk a little bit about some of the scanners. We're not going to go through all of them, but I'm going to point out some that correlate with some trading strategies. All right. So the first trading strategy I want to talk a little bit about is pre-market to market open trading. So when I begin and log into the Cockpit Control Center in the morning and I'm starting to get ready to trade, the very first place that I'm going to go is overnight expansion. And what overnight expansion allows me to see is where a stock closed at 4 p.m. the prior trade day, what the volume has been, what the move at 8 p.m. and going into overnight trading was. And then as we approach 4 a.m., you'll also see where the price opened at 4 a.m. So it gives you the ability to track a stock's growth all the way from after hours the day before through overnight through pre-market. And for me, what I then do is I take each of these stocks, or maybe the top three or four, I write them down on a list because these are ones that potentially are going to carry momentum over as we move into pre-market and market open. A couple of other things to point out is we'll flag if there's a catalyst here. We'll also tell you if it's hitting on the social media scanners, as well as what the relative volume. You also get a full AI analysis that's from our trained AI system, and kind of communicates kind of some details about its overnight gain, It's going to tell you, whether it's a, short-term trading, what it's going to be best used for, what confirmation is, what invalidation would be, and then a summary trade plan so that you have all the information you might need as you work towards a trade plan. So that's where I start. And then from there, the next step that I go to is I start to look at our momentum probability charts, which we're not going to see any results right now. But what these charts will show you is the likelihood of the top stocks from overnight or current period, and what's the potential that they may run 10, 5, 10, 15%. And then we have a high impact momentum stocks that get moved right to the top, where we show the probabilities that they may go 50 or 100%. So during trading hours, this is a great place to potentially find those stocks that might move, and move really bigly. And then in addition to that, it'll tell you what percentage of the move is likely still available. One of the questions I get is, how do we calculate this and come up with these probabilities? We've built a very detailed database of prior stocks, their movements, correlated with their scanner hits, their alerts, to build out the probabilities and compare them to other stocks. Now, in addition to that, the other scanner that I'm looking at as I'm getting ready to go into pre-market or market open is our daily launch. And the daily launch is going to show you probabilities of what stocks have the potential to have a strong run. So a couple of really nice things that this does is that it gives you the price. Again, we're looking back to 4 p.m. the prior trade day to see how much the stock has gone up. We're going to give you the last 15 minutes increase, 5 minutes, and 1 minute. We're going to look at the order book and determine whether it's liquid or not, as well as we're going to look and see whether it's a buyer's market or a seller's market. So you can kind of see the difference on this particular one versus this one, where one is liquid, one is still tradable, so kind of in the middle, and one's controlled by buyers and the other is controlled by sellers. And you're also going to get some pill buttons that give you some information on the stock. This one happens to be a period leader. It's got bid support. It's a top gainer. It's hitting five sources, or was hitting five sources in our alerts in the prior trading session. And then you're going to get an entry, stop, take profit, 1, 2, and 3. So you can see every step through the process. We're trying to make sure that you have trade plans available to you so that you're not having to do as much work and can execute trades. So, just to kind of recap, going into pre-market and market opening trading, the key scanners that you'll want to pay attention to kind of in order are the overnight expansion, the momentum probability, the confluence index, and then the daily launch is the one I look at right before market is opening, so I can determine where I may want to take a position. In addition to that, we have your normal kind of traditional scanners. You have a short squeeze scanner, a momentum scanner, a pre-runner scanner. And so what the pre-runner scanner is designed to do is to look for things before they run, and to try and help push those up to the top so that you can catch things before they make their move. The new heights scanner is a really nice one to use kind of intraday, because it gives you some ideas of stocks that are setting either all-time highs for the day, excuse me, all-time highs or daily high a day or daily high a month. So typically, those particular stocks might run into a new level. So they're ones to certainly keep an eye on. In addition to that is one of my favorite scanners for intraday trading is the intraday structure. And so what we've built in this scanner is the ability for our tools to monitor every 1 minute bar across tickers and to determine whether they match any predefined trading setups like double top, for example, or cup and handle or bull flags. And so we're going to present these right to you. So, for example, CJMB was presenting a 1 hour flat top breakout. It was currently at the time it closed sitting near the trigger. We give it a score. You've got a ranking. We give you the trigger, what the watch is, what invalidation. And again, very central to what we do in the Cockpit Control Center, we're always trying to make sure you have the information you might need to execute a trade. So you'll see the trigger, you'll see the stop loss, your targets that are included. We give you context about why it made the board, and then you can also drill directly into the stock page. So as the day is progressing on, kind of midday, I really like this particular scanner in addition to your more traditional scanners like Momentum, Short Squeeze, and Daily Launch because you can really get a quick picture of what stocks are moving really quickly. A couple of other things to point out in scanners. We also have a swing long scanner. This is really good if you're looking for anywhere from a 1 to 4 week hold. We analyze all of the stocks. We look at where they're sitting with EMA, SMA, and stack rank them and grade them. And so you'll see, for example, we have Crowd here. You can see their current price, their swing score. Nothing's really ranking really high right now because we've had kind of a soft market last week or a bad market. But in any case, we're going to give you kind of the key information. For example, if something's forming a golden cross, it's going to be notated here. And then you have an AI analysis that will give you information about how to make this and take it as a successful swing trade from anywhere from 1 to 4 weeks. So for those of you who like to do swing trading, this is your scanner that's really going to help you find information and what stocks you can trade there. You also have a smart money scanner. So if you want to see where dark pool and institutional money is going, that's a really good place to go. A lot of times that institutional money happens before you see a big breakout on the retail side. So it's a really good reconnaissance scanner. We also have a stock split scanner. Stock splits can create volatility in pricing. So you can get all of the information about upcoming stock splits. In addition to that, there's an ETF scanner. We have a lot of users who are active on our Discord that are very heavy into ETF trading. And so what this is going to do is look at an ETF universe. It's going to give you which ETF has the top implied move, which one's the most active, which one's had the largest surge. You have the ability to filter this down and look at information. What's really cool about this is when you click on any one of the ETFs, you're going to get an options flow intelligence. So it's going to give you the top implied move, what that expected range looks like, the IV rank. You're going to see the net fund net calls, the puts, whether it's got a bullish premium and what the bearish premium is. And then you'll see a fund options flow where it presents that data. And then you're also going to get an intelligence read from our system. So it's a really good tool to come in and see which ETFs might move. You also have filters up at the top. Right now, I have it based on implied move. If you wanted to look at bullish flow, you could look at bullish flow. There's options activity, bearish flow, volume surge, and IV rank. And you'll notice and the bullish flow leaders, QQQ is there. And again, you have all of your intelligence here. You can see the options premiums and how they kind of go through the day, as well as the additional context. So those of you who like to do ETFs as well as also potentially options, this is a really good source of content for you from a trading strategy. Also, you do have a top gainers list. So if you want to go in and see what's the top gainers for the current period, whether it's pre-market, 1 day, or after hours, that's available to you. And then we have a social media expansion scanner. So this is going to look across all of the Reddit, X, and social twits and give you stacked rank scores. In addition to that, it's going to give you some context behind why it's being driven on each of those pieces, as well as an AI read on all of that data that's contained within the social media research and intelligence platform. So that is kind of covering some of our scanners. So what we've talked about from a strategy perspective so far is pre-market and market open. We talked about ETFs. We're going to talk about options a little bit later. Going back to market open, there's one piece I meant to cover, and that's opening range breakouts. So we have a fantastic opening range breakout scanner. It starts to look at stocks at 9:30 when the market opens. It looks at it at a period of 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and an hour. And as it picks up on those, it's going to start to give you some good opening range breakout stocks. These would have been from Friday. You can see they happen to be 15-minute orbs. A lot of our users say that this is one of their favorite tools, and that these perform really, really well. So if you hit 9:30 and you don't want to do opening market trades and you want to see how the volatility shakes out in the market, keep an eye on the orb battle card and battle board, because it's going to give you some good opportunities to where you can get some opening range breakouts. So we're going to move over to screeners. We're not going to go into these in detail, but I did want to pull up one of the screeners just so that you could see them. So this one happens to be our option screener. You have all kinds of preset filters where we've built filters for you. You can also customize and enter and create your own filters. And once you do that, you do have the ability to save your filter down at the bottom, so that you can come back to this filter and run it anytime that you'd like. You can access those saved filters under the My Save Scan section. So again, the big difference with the scanners is what's moving right now. Screeners give you the ability to customize and build curated lists for yourself on things that might be next to move or that meet specifics around your individual trading style. Now we're going to talk a little bit about some of the intelligence features that are in the system. The first level of intelligence is our government section. We have full coverage of political trades. So if you want to see what politicians are trading what and have reported what stocks, what their holdings are, you can come into political trades. Government spending is going to show you the largest government contracts that have been issued. Economic intelligence is a really good tool. It's going to give you kind of all of the information of upcoming economic calendar events. We have a huge one coming this week. We have the economic indicators for June coming out, but you can see CPI, unemployment, payroll, GDP, the retail sales data. So we try and give you a lot of information to really get your arms around the market. You can look at indicator explorers. You can choose the indicators that you want to look at. And then we have the Treasury yield curve. So a lot of good resource information as it relates to economic intelligence. One of the newest features that we've added is presidential intelligence. One of the things we've noticed, I think all of us have noticed, is that current President Trump is very active on social media, and sometimes posts that are made on his social media can have direct market movement. So what we actually have is a direct feed into his social media postings. So you'll see all of the postings that he posts. You'll see if it mentions something that impacts stocks or sectors. we're going to categorize those. So this one mentioned things that impact consumer and retail, labor and jobs, energy and oil. We'll also flag if there are tickers that are mentioned. So you have the availability to filter down through here. You can, search for keywords or stocks or companies that might be mentioned. And then also on the right hand side, you'll see the presidential calendar. So this is good if you see that President Trump may be making a speech or something, or is going to be talking to the media. You have all of that information here, so you can stay up to date and catch anything that might impact the market from the president's perspective. Now we're going into some of the key intelligence areas. We're going to spend a lot more time on these in detail on subsequent videos. But I did want to talk about a few that give you the ability to utilize these tools in trading strategies. And the first one that I want to point out is Biotech Catalyst Calendar. Biotech happens to be, you know, the number one sector right now. But there are always good opportunities to take long positions in biotech as it relates to, phase readouts, PDUFAs, or other types of data. So one of my favorite strategies in investing in biotech long term is I love to come to this biotech catalyst calendar. And there's a couple things that I do here to really hone in on potential long position biotech trades. The first thing I do is I change the look back period or look forward period from 30 days to 365 days. The second thing that I do is I change this filter from all hits and I move it to big mover. And what big mover means is that we flag those as a stock that could potentially have big movement related to whatever type of catalyst is attached to it, whether it's a phase readout, whether it's a PDUFA, or what have you. And so once you choose big mover and you hit apply, it's going to refresh. This does take a minute because it's pulling every catalyst between now and the rest of the year that's marked with big mover. And so you're then going to see the results here. Um, and a couple things to point out. You're going to see all of the flags that we do. Um, every one of these catalysts is back tested by our system. And so we're able to give you some really good back test data on historical reactions for very similar events that they've had. We're very clear on what the sample size is. You can see 2 here, 3 here, 13 on this one. But we're going to tell you what their average gap is, what their average intraday gap up is, and what their positive rate on stock increase post the readout. In this case, it's 100% for CHRS. But what I like to do is I like to go about 6 months to a year in the future and start looking at the scores and see how they rate and looking at their back test information and see how they've performed in the past. And once I see this information, I can see, it's a phase two data readout. Out of 8 samplings, every single time they've had a readout, they've had positive movement and their average intraday movement is 28%. That's really big. Couple of other things to point out here. This is for cancer treatment. That's high impact potential, treatment areas. So this particular stock would catch my attention for potentially a long play. And I can then click on the ticker and it's going to take me into the biotech details of this stock. So I can see, all about the company, can see the company snapshot. You've got their upcoming catalysts and data readout information. Just below that, you have all of their pipeline, all of the drugs that they have in pipeline. You've got any clinical trials that are active. You've got their short and borrow pressure. So good opportunity to remind yourself if there's the potential possibly for a squeeze on that particular stock. For biotech, a really important piece is the cash runway. How are they doing financially? And then you also have hedge fund investment. So you can see what institutions are invested in that particular stock. And then you can see a little bit of detail about the prior historical catalyst reactions. And you can drill down and see more if there's additional items there. So really powerful trading opportunities as it relates to biotech that you can use as strategy to find long positions for biotech. A couple of other ones to point out to you. There's also a detailed ETF intelligence library. Again, another good place to go if you like to trade ETFs to help determine which ones you might trade. We have a quick launch buttons for some of the most common ETFs that you can drill down into. Once you go into those ETFs, you're going to be able to see, the weight breakdown, what sectors, what countries, what their top holdings are from a stock perspective. And then you'll also have a section that says why it matters. So this gives you the opportunity to start flipping through different ETFs and looking through which ones might have a better score than others to see if there's any specific ETFs that you might want to trade. So that's a good strategy for ETFs. Now, for all of you that trade options, we have extremely powerful options tools. We're going to have another session that we post that goes into great detail about all of the functionality within the options. But by default, when you go in, you're going to have the ability to do some filtering on specific tickers. But the default view is going to be a stack rank on the top options. So you can see INTC is on a puts watch, XOM is on a calls watch. You're getting the last price, the trigger, the distance, what the volume is. You've got the ATM puts. You've got the next level. You've got all of the details on why it made it in. And then you can also view the full details. So this is a great way to look at grading on how each of these different options might stack up and help you as you look to do either puts or calls on options. One other one to point out for you in this section is the Gamma Battlefield. And so that's going to give you your call walls, your put walls, and your top strike exposures. So all of that key information you need when you're trading options. So this gives you the ability to really hone in and look at what might be, the best options that you can trade. Going back to that, I do want to point out one thing on the options screener. Um, one of the pieces of the option screener is you can look at hottest stocks, but we also include information around implied moves in some of these. So another good place to really surface strong options trades in the screener itself. Finally, in intelligence, a lot of people like to trade earnings. So we'll talk a little bit about earnings in a minute. But I want to point out we also cover crypto. We also cover prediction markets. So if you do any predictions betting, we have a full and cumulative library here where you can get metrics around the top prediction markets that are out there. You can search, trades on people's wallets. You can search specific traders to follow along with, who's performing the best and, what things they're trading. So if you're into either crypto or prediction markets, we even got you covered there. But going back to trading strategies, earnings. So we have a full earnings library. It's going to allow you to look at the earnings for the upcoming day. You can look at it weekly, monthly. You can set your own custom calendar. But the one part I want to point out here is in the expected move column. We're using our algorithm to predict expected moves either up or down, right? So it could go up, could go down, depends on the earning results. But you can also see, the information around, the earnings beat percent, as well as their average 1 day move post earnings, their expected move, and the estimated EPS, their estimated revenue in their sector, and whether options are available on that particular stock. So this can either become a strategic tool for you and either taking an options play if you're betting that they're going to miss or beat earnings, or a straight up stock play. A lot of earnings actually coming out tomorrow, and some pretty important ones that are going to be really interesting. This AMC Entertainment one is one I'm watching really closely because it has a huge expected move percent. That's a good one to watch. Another brand new feature that we've added is the editor's watch list. And the editor's watch list are our curated watch lists. We post some daily, some weekly. Here is our Monday watch list for tomorrow, along with our top four biotech watch lists on a weekly basis, our top 6 options and macros watch list, and then we also have a short interest watch list for the week. So this will continue to grow. You'll notice that we index the major tickers. You're able to open and pull up and expand the watch list. You can download it. You can copy a link to it if you want to share it on your social media or with your friends. Really good place to get watch list information. Now, under the watch list section, you're able to access your watch list. Um, so you can see any stocks that you've added to your watch list. You can see that in this demo account, I have SLS added. You can see that it is saved, and 39 other people have SLS also added into their watch list. One of the really cool features about our system is anything that's on your watch list that then shows up in an alert is going to give you a notification right here in the toolbar for watch list alerts. So you can quickly, if you see a number pop up on this, you can drill down in here and you can see SLS was lighting it up on the 19th on going onto the watch list. So you can very quickly see things you were trying to keep an eye on. If they start moving, you see that notification, you jump on it, and you can immediately go to view the stock, view the chart, and see what's going on with it. So another efficiency tool to help you help you trade faster. There's also a watch list builder where we curate some stocks that you might want to add to your watch list. Now, from a tools perspective, I talked about the strategy lab. This is your back testing. So here is what it looks like. You can come in and do a variety of different back tests. We'll post a video where we go into detail about that another day. Also, you have a stock split calculator if you want to see how a split is going to impact shares that you own. There's an IPO calendar, so you can see what IPOs are coming up. Now, one of the really powerful tools that we have is our order flow tool. And we're probably not going to see any data here given that we're in overnight trading. But what this is going to give you and show you is bid and ask pressure on a stock, as well as the support and resistance lines. It's going to give you microbar data, as well as flow quality, all of the information that you need to watch to monitor price action is going to be in the order flow intelligence. So this really starts to fire up at 4 a.m. Pre-market trading. In addition to that, other tools to point out, I mentioned a little bit earlier, our trade terminal. The terminal is designed for actual computers and not mobile interface. And this is to give you everything that you need as a day trader. You can see in the intelligence feed, you've got all of the news information. We're going to point out if it's bullish news. Just below that, you have the highest momentum stocks. And then the market feed is all of our scanner and alert hits. So as things start to pop up, you can actually see we've had some hits this evening as things are starting to pop up. And when you click on any stock, you're going to see that that stock's going to load across the board on all of the features and functionality. You get for VIP users, you have a trade plan that's going to tell you, exactly how to trade the stock. This will update here in a second as everything starts to update. Here it goes. It's starting to update now. So you can get your trade plans pretty immediately. You have your chart. You can expand your chart out and bring it into a full view. You've got your support, your resistance lines. So everything that you need from a trading perspective. I'm going to go ahead and close that. Over here, you have your ask and call. And for some reason, I'm not sure why everything's not loading correctly across the scanner. I'm going to have to take a look at that. But this is really designed to be your one-stop shop for everything you need when you're actively trading. So here's one that fully um, is hitting some alerts. You'll also notice we'll start to flag alerts that are hot alerts. So you'll get notifications on those as well. So really nice tool. I'm going to check into why the data is not feeding all the way across, and we'll get that fixed up this evening. So that's the trade terminal. You also have access to a trade journal. So if you want to record your trades, you can do that, and then our system will give you stock and AI, or excuse me, AI analysis of your trades and feedback on how you can improve trading. And then finally, you have help. You can access the tutorials, and then an account under my preferences. You have all of your information on how to sign up for push notifications and also the squawk notifications. So that concludes kind of our high level overview. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to the video. If you have any questions, don't forget you can come and join the Discord. You can ask those questions anytime. We're happy to help. And we hope that you enjoy the system. And we'll continue to work on improving it and look forward to our next videos where we go into deep dives on each of the functional areas. Thank you again. I hope you all have a wonderful evening.